What is going on? Good morning, Niner fans. We have a busy day today because it's the day after a game. There's a lot of updates. We're going to talk to you about it. That was a hell of a game. A stinker last night. Wasn't that? That was a clunker, stinker, dinker, whatever you want to call it. It was brutal, man. 49ers take an L. We all know, 26-21. I mean, defense showed up in the second half. First half, it was ugly. Brock Purdy probably was rushed back. We're going to get to him because there's an injury update on him. And the 49ers wide receivers just couldn't hold on to the ball. The offensive line couldn't protect. They couldn't open up run lanes. Like, they're not generating runs. It's crazy. 16 pressures for the offensive line yesterday. That's crazy. 9 between Colby and Trent Williams. And the 49ers defensive line only generated 5 quarterback pressures. You're not going to sustain wins, and you're not going to be able to beat teams if you can't put pressure on their quarterbacks. Nick Bosa is a glaring loss. But before we get to all of that, let's talk about these injury updates. Kyle Shanahan met with the media, and let's hear what let's talk about what he had to say. They have a short week, right? They have a very short week to prepare. They have the Rams on Thursday Night Football, 3-1 team. This is tough. We can get right to the big news of the day. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, he came in complaining of some soreness in his toe today, according to Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan said that he talked to Purdy on the phone last night, and he said he had no issues during the game. But today his toe is sore. That's what happens when you have turf toe. I said it's a lingering chronic condition. I mean, I do this for a living. I'm a physical therapist. I said it all week. I said, I don't know, man. It's a tough one, but if he feels good, he feels good. It's about pain tolerance. And the thing about a turf toe is it could linger for a while. And the initial diagnosis was 2 to 5 weeks. They took the 2-week route. And now it looks like they should have probably waited a little longer. So we'll see. Brock Purdy had toe soreness this morning, and he told Kyle Shanahan, not a good sign. He might not play Thursday against the Rams. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. We all know Mac Jones had a PCL strain, so he was dealing with some knee stuff. But, I mean, he said he would have been ready. Speaking of PCL issues, Ricky Pearsall yesterday, he took himself out of the game after he came back when he landed hard on his knee. He said he felt some pain and instability. They're going to do further testing on him today. And it appears that he might have suffered a minor PCL injury, which I don't really know if there's such thing as a minor PCL injury, but there's concern about his ability to play on Thursday. So that is what they're saying right now, that it could be a minor PCL injury. And that's not good. We need Ricky Pearsall because he was the only one consistently catching stuff. He was the only one catching the ball. The one-handed, unbelievable catch on the sideline, that was crazy. See, Ricky Pearsall has some knee soreness coming into the week. They let him practice. He played. And I think he would have got away with this game pretty well. But that catch on the sideline, that wasn't a catch. And then he took a nasty. You guys probably saw the play. I mean, he was down on the ground for a little bit. He went to the medical tent. PCL is so hard to injure. It's like they call that the dashboard injury. So most people, I mean, the common plays, not everybody's playing football. The most common injury or common way to get a PCL sprain is knee through the dashboard. If you have an accident and you go forward and you hit your knee and it flexes on a dashboard, like that's the mechanism. Your knee goes like this because it's putting strain on the posterior aspect, the behind. That's where your PCL, posterior collateral ligament. So your knee goes and then it puts all that pressure, strain on the posterior ligament. It's because you flex your knee, overflex it. So he fell and his knee went like this. It flexed onto the ground. So he probably felt his knee just like go all the way back into his hamstring. And he was probably like, oh, fuck, that hurts. So yeah, I could see why he felt instability. That's what he said during the game, like after the game. He says, I felt some instability. That's not good. When you feel instability in the knee, it's 100% a ligament. And that's what they're going to test today. We'll see what the MRI results come out today. It's still early, so they haven't got all their testing done. Usually Kyle does the interviews around 3:30. Today it was 9:30. So unfortunate for the 49ers there, actually, that we have possible no Ricky Pearsall on Thursday. Also, it appears that Juwan Jennings' status is up in the air. He has an ankle and a shoulder. He was banged up, and he may not play Thursday. Another thing with Juwan Jennings, I love Jennings, but he's playing – I think he's pushing himself to play because he doesn't want to miss out on the money. Remember, he had that contract extension where he gets incentive bonuses. Like he gets incentives he has to hit certain markers to get certain amount of money. He's trying to go out there and play and get his catches and his yards and his stats and his touchdowns. I think that's not good. That's detrimental to Juwan Jennings' health. So he's trying to play because he wants money. And it's not good. When you're trying to play for money, obviously they all play for money, but when you're trying to get that bag and you make bad decisions, I think Juwan Jennings, if he wasn't trying to chase that bag and get incentives, probably would have been shut down for 2 weeks, then he'd be fine. He's trying to play through these injuries every week. It's not good. So we got Ricky Pearsall. Again, he had knee soreness last week, and, he hits that knee on the ground. Now, I don't feel like his was the issue of, like, being rushed back, because the PCL, like I said, PCL is it's like one of the weirdest injuries. It's so hard to get a PCL injury in football because you don't usually fall on a flex knee most of the time. That's just bad luck. Like last year, Christian McCaffrey had the PCL injury. It was like perfect mechanism. He flew up in the air after he got tackled, and his knee just came down like that on the snow, right? So he ended up, messing up his PCL. So, yeah, unfortunately, we have, right, Ricky Pearsall could be a PCL, but they're going to determine it by the end of the day. Brock Purdy toe. I don't think Brock Purdy's going to go. Maybe you go with Mac Jones if he's 100% rated. He's not going to be 100% because he has a PCL himself. And then you got Juwan Jennings, who's probably not going to play. This team is absolutely banged up, man. There is some good news. I will give you some good news, ladies and gentlemen. There is a sliver of hope. Malik Mustafa, 49ers safety, is most likely going to start practicing after week 6, according to Kyle Shanahan. So weeks after week 6, they're hoping to get Malik Mustafa in there to potentially return mid-season, week 8 maybe. And this is what I was saying. I said maybe he'll come back midweek or mid-year, and it looks like he's on track to be ready by mid-season. So that's good news for Malik Mustafa. We could definitely use him. He's a dog. So that's good news. Now let's talk about this game, shall we? That Niner game was crazy. We saw the Robert Saleh, Liam Cohen fallout. Like, that was crazy. Now, if you looked at the metrics, I looked at PFF this morning, and I want to go over these things because these are reasons. Obviously, there's reasons you can watch the game and say, okay, yeah, well, Brock Purdy pissed the bed. Well, the defense was pissing the bed. The offensive line. Let's get close into these stats, shall we? So let's take a closer look. 49ers had 6 drops. Ricky Pearsall was not one of them. 6 drops is crazy. 6 drops. You had Kendrick Bourne, Christian McCaffrey, right? They had some drops. There was several other drops in this game, but those were very critical. Juwan Jennings in the red zone had a drop. The 49ers only generated 5 pressures, QB pressures, in their week 4 performance loss against the Jaguars, according to PFF. Fucking 5 pressures. That's all you could do? 5 pressures? Bryce Huff had 2. It's actually crazy. The 49ers offensive line allowed 16 total pressures against the Jaguars. Connor Colby had 5, and Trent Williams allowed 4. That's crazy. 16 They allowed 16 pressures, and they generated only 5. That is not going to get the job done. O-line was getting manhandled. D-line was not doing anything. The D-line was not D-lining. That's just bad. That's just absolutely just bad. You know what I mean? That's brutal. That's a brutal amount of injuries right there. You know what I mean? Like, or that's just brutal stats right there. So let's take a look at some of the lowest graded 49ers against the Jaguars. Christian McCaffrey was a 56.6. Sky Moore, 54.4. Special teams was horrible. Luke Farrell, 52.6. Kendrick Bourne, 37.6. Those drops definitely did not help his cause. On defense, Sam O, 46.9. Michael Williams, 45.7. Jordan Jefferson, 40.7. Robert Beal, 39.2. Those guys were just not getting it done. Only 5 pressures. Not good. Fred Warner, on the other hand, he was a dog. He had the highest graded PFF grade on either side of the ball, 91. Like, Fred Warner played his heart out. He did everything he could to help the Niners win. I feel bad for him because he just puts his heart and soul out there. Should have had 2 picks. I mean, you could tell, like, as soon as he has his hands on it, and I think he's like thinking end zone or thinking interception, he might have lost focus at that last second. But Fred Warner played his heart out, and he obviously was the highest graded player on the 49ers entire team. Now, this stat right here is crazy, right? They generated 5 pressures, right? This is the first game without Nick Bosa. Week 1, they had 10 pressures. Week 2, 22. Week 3, 22. They had 22, 22, and 10 pressures. That's 54 pressures in 3 weeks with Nick Bosa. Do you take Nick Bosa out of the equation? They had 5 pressures. That is actually insane to me. You went from 55 in 3 weeks. You had 55 pressures in 3 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. And then you go down to 5 pressures. That is so insane. That right there is crazy. Let's go again. Offensive line pressures allowed versus the Jaguars. Kobe had 5. Trent Williams had 4. Colton McKivitz had 2. Dominic Booney had 2. Jake Brendel had 1. Connor Colby has 10. And Trent Williams has 6 in the past 2 games combined. Those 2 guys have had 16 pressures in the last 2 games combined. Everybody was hyping up Connor Colby, including myself. He has not looked great in pass protection. That left side, it's Connor Colby, Trent Williams. It's that left side. Absolutely been getting ripped apart. I love Trent Williams. But it's time to have a conversation. They need to figure out what they're going to do with life after Trent. And I don't know when he goes, but you could tell he was gassed out yesterday. He was so tired yesterday. There was times where after the game, the interview, he just had low energy. I absolutely love Trent Williams. He's an all-pro. He's a Hall of Famer. He's 38 years old, man, playing probably the hardest position on the field. Man. It's a tough knockout, drag-out position. And Trent Williams is trying his best. And Connor Colby, right, he's a rookie. So you got Trent Williams playing next to a rookie. That's tough, It's as much as Connor Colby, we have hope for him, thrown into the mix. And the 49ers did themselves an injustice by keeping Ben Barch at that position all offseason. I kept saying, go get a better left guard, go upgrade that left guard spot, because Ben Barch, you couldn't rely on him. He can't stay healthy. And now you have this rookie who probably is a good player, but now he's thrown into the fire, and it's putting a lot of pressure on him. And then it's putting a lot of pressure on Trent Williams, who, again, not getting any younger. It's a tough position to be. Ben Barch should never have been the guy that they counted on this left guard spot. So it created a downward spiral, in my opinion, on this line. So that is what's going on with 49ers. A brutal game. And they still had – this is the crazy thing. They had 4 turnovers, still had a chance to win. The game, there was a lot of times where the game changed tide of the game. Now, there was a specific play. We all know Upton Stout, the interception he should have had. They called PI. Richard Sherman blasted it today last night on his podcast. He says, look, this is what he said about Upton Stout's interception. It should have been an interception. He goes, I thought it was a phenomenal play. Thought it was a horseshit call. This is what Richard Sherman said. He says, I thought it was a horseshit call. Thought it was BS. There's no way you call that after an interception. There's a little push and pull on every play. It wasn't enough to affect the play. So Richard Sherman says it wasn't enough to make, that big of a difference, because there's going to be tugging on both sides. And sometimes, you're a press man cover corner. And that's what Upton Stout is. He's a very aggressive corner, and they call him for stuff. The refs hate Upton Stout because of the way he plays. And he's a rookie, so he hasn't really earned that respect from him. And Richard Sherman says, horseshit. He said it was horseshit. So I agree with Richard Sherman, man. That play really sold us. I feel that. I mean, obviously a lot of them did, but that play specifically. Joseph, well, let's take a look at some of the comments. He says Kyle Shanahan's red zone offense is atrocious. It's been pretty bad over the last couple of years. But I will say, I think not having George Kittle is a big factor in the red zone and the run game. Not having George Kittle is massively huge loss to the 49ers. Good morning, Michelle. Clinton says, face it, Raj, we are making mistakes giving out contracts or extending old watch players. You know what? I can't disagree with that. I cannot disagree. The 49ers, they sign everybody to max contracts, and they don't have money for certain players. And then these players, once they max out their contract, they get hurt or they stop playing well. It's a cycle, man. I 100% don't disagree with you, Clinton. I think that's a great point. My man, let's see. Michelle says, I'll watch you on your IG live later. Have to get ready for work. Have a great day at work. Keep your head up and have a, just have a blessed day. Go get that money. We'll talk later on IG for sure. Joseph says, Rams are going to kill us. Purdy, Jennings, Pearsall might not play. The Rams are going to go after Connor Colby. Absolutely. They're going to bull rush Connor Colby. I'm not looking forward to that. I feel like the 49ers O-line, they got a lot cut out for them. They're going to have to really step up. But, the 49ers have had good opportunity. They've done good against the Rams in the past when they had Aaron Donald. But we don't have, Dan Brunskill. We don't have Dan Brunskill. We don't have Aaron Donald's daddy on that offensive line anymore. So not going to be an easy task. I agree. Christine says Kittle is a big loss. 100%. I think George Kittle's loss is being felt in the red zone and run blocking. 1,000%. Randy says it was terrible on both sides of the ball, and they still could have won. That's the crazy thing. We still could have won the game, but we sold it with the turnovers. You cannot win a game when you have 4 turnovers in a game. I still think they're a very good team, but just played terribly on both sides of the ball. Having both out definitely did, but having both out definitely didn't help. I agree, but they still threw up one, or should I say that should have won. Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes, mental mistakes. Special teams was bad. Again, defense was leaky early on. Run defense couldn't get going until later in the game. Second half defense, you got to give them credit. They only allowed 3 points. Offense was just inconsistent. Red zone scoring was terrible. They couldn't get the run game going. So, and again, anytime you throw picks and you turn the ball over, you fumble the ball, you're not going to win a game. So, oh, man. Yeah. Joseph says Kyle Shanahan should run Brian Robinson Jr. when they were first and goal instead of Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I think it could help, but at the same time, I just don't think the 49ers run blocking is helping any. It's not getting any yard. It's just not working. I don't care who they run right now. I don't think you're getting any yards. But I do agree. Christian McCaffrey should probably be used sparingly on first down. You know, the thing about Christian McCaffrey is you take away his rushing yards, he's still one of the top receivers in the league. I think he's like top 10 receiver in the league, which is actually crazy. They're using Christian McCaffrey so much, it's crazy. Like, he's definitely a unicorn, but man, Christian McCaffrey is being used at such a high rate. It's actually crazy. So, oh man. Clinton says, I love the human being Brock Purdy is, but in my opinion, he is a slightly above average quarterback. We made a huge mistake by not letting him play a rookie deal out and paying him $250 million. So bad for our future. A lot of people are not upset about that, or a lot of people are upset about that contract. A lot of people have been. You know, Brock's a great guy, and now the question is going to come into focus. If he starts losing games and he starts playing bad, and I know he has the toe injury, people are going to start questioning that contract like they do with every quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, Tua, all these quarterbacks that got paid high, right? When they start losing and the team's not doing well, all blame, all fingers are going to be pointed to that quarterback, and it's happened with many teams. Dak Prescott. Look around the league. You look at the top paid quarterbacks. Jordan Love, right? Teams question him. Dak, Trevor Lawrence, right? Tua. All these guys, they're just not. It's like you watch them, how are they getting paid over $50 million? Right? How are they getting paid this much? And it's happening to Brock because, yeah, we love him. He's a great story. Is he really worth 53? And that's going to be the question among everybody. And again, Brock, maybe he was rushed back too early. Maybe he was rusty, whatever you want to say. It was definitely not smart to throw him out there early. I think they should have taken more time. And now I feel like there's pressure on him. And now he feels the pressure, right? You're getting paid $53 million. There's pressure on your shoulders. And I think that's a bigger barometer of pressure than he's ever felt before. You know, before he was slinging it, he was Mr. Irrelevant. Nobody believes in me. I got nothing to lose. I'm only making $1 million. I'm a starting quarterback in the league. I got nothing to lose. Now you're getting $53 million. Now you're the quarterback of the team. You're the franchise. You're on a bigger microscope. So absolutely 100%, the money will make any player, especially quarterback, feel a little bit more pressure or weight on their shoulders. And that's what every player goes through. We talked about it earlier, right? When a player gets money, they don't play as good. It's a lot of pressure on their shoulders to keep performing. Like, what if you had like a 2,000-yard receiving yard season and you get $40 million a year, right? I'm just throwing this out there. You get $40 million a year as a wide receiver and you had 2,000 yards. You better start doing that every year. If you don't, people are going to start questioning you. People are going to start saying, yeah, he's not good. He fell off. That's what happens. So those 2 field goals were not helpful. He needs to risk those fourth down conversions. Kyle Shanahan's not confident in the offense. But Kyle, you know, that's Kyle. He's a little conservative here and there. But at the same time, I think that's the safe route, taking the field goals. I know it's not the risky route or the aggressive route. But again, they still had chances to win at the game. So at the end, taking those field goals wasn't bad because if you march down that last drive and score, you win the game. So you still put your team in position to win, and that's what you want. If you've got a quarterback that's paid $53 million every year, you have the ball with, 2-3 minutes left to go, you should be able to drive it down and score a touchdown. And unfortunately for the 49ers, it didn't work out this time. So Peter Parker, my man, he said that call on Stout was embarrassing. Yeah, week 4 and the ref's already about to bounce. That was such a bad call, dude. I was livid. Everybody was livid. Obviously, you guys were. That video did numbers. Like, we posted, was he robbed? Everybody. I had fans from other teams chiming in on that post. They were like, that was a bullshit call. That's crazy. So Christine says, is Mac injured? Yeah, he had a PCL injury last week, but we don't know his status going into this week. But he did have an injury last week. He wasn't 100%. So all week, Kyle Shanahan said that that Brock Purdy was more limited or less limited than Mac. There was on KNBR last week, I think it was Thursday, Kyle Shanahan, he said that Brock Purdy is less limited than Mac Jones. That's what he said in practice last week. We'll see. That was an unbelievable loss. Renee, she says, why doesn't Kyle let the OC call plays? Wouldn't hurt. He got an offensive coordinator to just do nothing? I don't know. Kyle's weird. He wants to have control of the offense. Like he has the OC to come in and bounce ideas off of and study film and give him, ideas through the week. But I do feel like Kyle should let somebody kind of help him out during game day. He's got a lot on his plate. And whatever you've been doing over the last couple of years, it hasn't obviously got us to the promised land. It's not always working. We have the same issues we have every year. So I agree. Why doesn't he let Kubiak call some damn plays? It wouldn't hurt. And if it does mess up, guess what? You just move on and you go back to calling plays. But give him a chance. It can't be any worse than what you're doing out there, Kyle. I agree with that, Renee. Absolutely agree with that. Crazy, huh? Let's take a look at some more questions. Let's see. We got any more up here? Let's take a look at a few more questions, and then I'll probably go live on Instagram soon. Rams are going to kill us. We'll be lucky to win 9 games this year. Let's see. I think we got most of the questions here. Renee says the team is on life support. Joseph says Grant Cohn was right. Purdy didn't look 100% healthy. He didn't look healthy. He was throwing some hospital balls. It was ugly. He was lofting them up. Why so many injuries? Oh, this is a good question. Why are there so many injuries? I've said it time after time again. Why so many injuries every season? So I don't know if you guys watch the games or, watch the warm-ups before the games. And I've said this many times. And yesterday was another perfect example. I have video of it. So as the Jaguar players come out for warm-ups, they get in a line of stretching. You've seen this with high school football. You've seen this all the way for Pee Wee football. You get out, you get in the old school football lines on a row on the grass, and you stretch 20 minutes, 15, however long you stretch. It's team organized stretching. You do nothing else until you stretch. You go out there, you can do your routes and stuff after that, after you stretch. Every single team the 49ers play, every single week does this. The Jaguars are no different. The 49ers, they do their little warm-up stuff, okay? They go in, they go to the locker room, they get their uniforms on, their jerseys, and then they come right out and they go right into running routes, practice throwing the ball. They go and just, get the body loose, get the blood flowing, dynamic. I guess it's like dynamic movements, which is just fine. But they don't sit there and actively sit on the ground and stretch. Like you don't ever see the 49ers in a line on the ground stretching. Absolutely. And I had someone say, well, what do they stretch in the locker room? There's no way you're sitting on the floor. You're laying on the floor of the locker room. That's going to mess your back up. And also when they go to the back, they're quickly getting their jerseys on and then they run back onto the field. So they're getting their pads on, their jerseys. There's no time to stretch. They should be out there and spending 15 to 20 minutes stretching. They don't. They come right out. They rush. They do their little routine, all the video content you see, right, that we post, signing pictures, George Kittle signing Claire Kittle, Brock Purdy with his girl. Cool. It's great. It's great content. But go fucking stretch those damn hamstrings. Stretch. I never see the 49ers stretching at all before a game. I'm telling you, I see it every single week. I got so many games I've been to, and I always see the other team stretching for like 20 minutes. I never see the 49ers. And I'm just like, are they embarrassed to get on the ground? I don't know. That's my take on it. Swaggy says Purdy has 16 interceptions in his last 17 starts. 16 picks, 24 touchdowns. This is not good. 16 picks. That's bad. I saw those stats this morning, and I was like, whoa. It's crazy. Actually crazy, right? Actually crazy. But yeah, that's it. 49ers took the L. It sucked. I'm going to recap these injuries one last time for y'all, and then we're going to bounce out for you. So here we go. 49ers injuries. Let's get to it. We have Brock Purdy felt some soreness with his toe this morning. Keep an eye on that. Ricky Pearsall will be evaluated later today, and it is feared that he has a minor PCL injury, and there is concern about his ability to play Thursday. Malik Mustafa, they're hopeful that he can return after week 6 to practice. And Jawan Jennings, his status is up in the air. Those are your updates for the week. We'll be back a little later, Instagram Live, and hopefully we get a Ricky Pearsall update soon. And, we'll be here live to talk about it. But I just hope it's a good update. I hope Ricky Pearsall doesn't have to miss a long time. I hope he doesn't have to go on the injury reserve or anything. Prayers up to Ricky P. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Happy Monday. It should have been Victory Monday, but it's not. Love y'all.